Hello live wires, Heather Boyd Wire here, and
Today I'm making a sugar skull pendant, which is like the one that I made on the Wire Lady TV live stream. I'll link up the replay in the description. I'm using the Artistic Wire Deluxe Jig Kit, the 18 gauge gold artistic wire, and the 22 gauge by the dozen multicolor artistic wire. I'm using the Beadalon Glimmer Series nipper tool, the nylon jaw pliers, their slim nose, chain nose pliers, and my precision round nose pliers. We're going to start with about 8 inches of 18 gauge artistic wire, and I'm going to make the shape of the skull using the Artistic Wire Deluxe Jig Kit. I will link up the templates in the description below this video. You can also just freehand the shape of the skull if you prefer. So we're just going to go around the pegs. So just pushing down the wire as you go. And we're going to work our way up to the top. We're going to curve it around the cheekbone, bring it up, and bring it around, up, and then around. And using the larger pegs, we're going to go around for the top of the skull and then bring the wire straight up. So we're going to go around the other side to finish the round part of the skull, and then we are going to remove it from the jig. So now we have to attach the wire at the top, but we're going to first straighten it out a little bit with our nylon jaw pliers. So just press it with the nylon jaw pliers. I'm going to just sharpen up that bend at the top, just pushing the wire against the chain nose pliers. And then we're going to help that bend with the round nose pliers and just curve the wire around. And that's going to wind around the vertical wire at the top of the skull. So now we are just going to tighten that up a little bit. And then we're going to clip off the extra bit of wire with our nipper tool or the flush cutters. So give it a little clip. And then with the chain nose pliers, we'll just push down that little pokey end and pinch it in place. So now we could trim it to about 3/8 to 1/2 inch with our flush cutter, and then get our round pliers, pull the wire back and around to make a centered loop at the top for a pendant, and pinch it so there's no little pokey ends. And there's our skull shape. So for the teeth, we're going to start with about 8 inches of 22 gauge gold wire, and using our stainless steel precision pliers, I will link these ones up in the description below the video, we are going to do a pattern that looks like a series of infinity signs. So just using the tip of the precision round nose pliers and just continually making loops. So we're going to bring it over on an angle, and then we want to go to alternate sides so that the whole pattern will end up being flat. So we want to bring the wire to the front and then to the back. And as we go, we're just pushing the wire out on an angle so it's ready for the next loop. We're going to make a whole series of loops, as many as you need to go across for the teeth. So there we go. And then you can flatten it even more with the nylon jaw pliers, so all the loops are right beside each other and sitting nice and straight. So you see in the previous one I did green teeth, and now I have the gold teeth, and we are just going to position them in place. And then we want to take the end and wind it around. I'm just kind of winding it around the corner so it won't slide up and down. And if you wind it around about 2 times, it should be plenty to anchor it in place. And then bring it to the other side, and we are going to wind it around a couple of times on that side. So they're nice and secure. You can pinch the wire a little bit with the chain nose pliers, pull the wire around a little bit more, and clip them with the nipper tool or your flush cutters. So just clip it flush and pinch in those little pokey ends with the chain nose pliers. Adjust it as you need. So there's the teeth. And now we're going to get 8 inches of 22 gauge red wire. This will form the nose, and the nose is going to be a heart shape. So I like to call these my Mimi hearts. We just do a little loop in the center, has to be quite small, and then we're just going to pull the ends over. I'll pinch it with the nylon jaw pliers so it's nice and flat. And then we're going to make the little round parts of the heart. So we'll use the precision round nose pliers so it could be quite small. Just rotate the wire around one side, and then we'll do the other side the same size. So just bring it around to form our heart. We need the ends of the wires to crisscross on an angle. So there's our heart shape. And then we want to hold it with the nylon jaw pliers and twist, keeping the wires out at an even angle so it makes an even twist. You can twist it about 5 times, however many times you need to fit in the skull. And we'll bring the wires out. And then we want to curve the wires around. So I am using the bail making pliers for this. You can curve it around a pen or some round nose pliers. So we're just going to curve it out just so they're the same on both sides. See how it fits in the skull. And then we need to do a loop going up and around. So we'll do the same on both sides. And you're just going to keep adjusting them till they're even. And now I'm going to get the end of my pen. This is my favorite way to make spirals. We'll just go around a few times right to the end so it makes a cone shaped spiral, and bring it around on the other side in the same way. So we've got our 2 little cone shapes, and then we're going to collapse those little cone shapes, and you'll see how it makes a flat spiral, and pinch it with the nylon jaw pliers. And so now we're just going to see that it's going to fit in place. And we're going to wind those little ends around to hold that in place. Just bring it around and around a couple of times so it's secure. Just pinch the wire and rotate it to attach it to the side. And we'll do the same on the other side. So just take the end with the pliers so you can give it a good little tug and around. And then you're going to clip that end with the nipper tool and position it in place. Adjust it with your thumb and finger. And now we're going to take about 6 inches of 22 gauge green artistic wire. All these colors are in the by the dozen pack. It's a great way to get a sampler of colors. Artistic wire makes such beautiful colored wire. And now we're going to curve it out again. This time I'm just using the pen to curve it out and then curve it back up. So it's similar to the nose, except I just did a little loop that would be like in the middle of the forehead. So bring it around, and you can make a simple spiral. Could be a little smaller than the previous one if you like. You can really take liberties with this design, be as creative as you like. I've made the sugar skulls with beads before. The sky is the limit for the design. So we're doing our spirals again. We're going to collapse them as we did before. Give it a little press with the nylon jaw pliers to flatten them out a little bit. Just adjust them as you need, and then we're going to position the piece in place and bend the little ends around the frame. So just grab the end with the chain nose pliers and twist the end around the skull. So just hold it in place and bring the wire around. Give it a good little tug so it's nice and secure. And then we need to clip the ends with the flush cutter or the nipper tool. Give it a good little clip. And then we're going to pinch the wire in. We don't want there to be any pokey little ends. And now we're going to take 8 inches of the 22 gauge blue artistic wire to form the eyes. So to make the eyes, I'm just using the tip of the precision pliers to make little tiny circles, and we are going to alternate the wire going to the front and going to the back so it'll sit nice and flat, and we are going to make 10 little loops going into the shape of a circle to form the eyes. So take your time with it. If you do little gentle angles, it will come around into a circle. So we're just going to do all of our circles and then have one wire go out to the side and pinch it with the nylon jaw pliers. And then we want to make a little spiral inside the eye. So just using the precision tools, we're going to bring that wire around into a small spiral. Just keep it nice and loose and open. And we only have to go around a couple of times. Just using the tip of the pliers, bring the wire around, going slowly with it, working our way towards the middle. So once we have that, we're going to clip it with the nipper tool. Cut my wire a little long, and then we're going to pinch it so it's flat. Now we need to position it in the place for the eye, and what we're going to do is when we wind the wire around, we're going to actually catch the other wire of the red wire so they're intertwined, and it will mean that the eye won't flip back and forth and it'll stay securely in place. Now we're going to clip the end and just adjust the eye into the position that you need, just using your thumb and fingers. You can pinch it down a little more to make sure it stays in place. Make sure it's nice and centered there. So there we have one eye. You can do the other eye after, but I'm going to go ahead and do a little flower at the top. So now I'm using 20 gauge artistic wire. You can use the 20 gauge for parts that don't have too much detail, but for the most part I use 22 gauge for all the ornamentation in this design. So for this flower at the top, I'm just going to go back and forth a few times to make a little simple flower at the top. So using the end of the precision pliers, we're just going to go back and forth to make the little loops. Keep adjusting them so they're more or less the same size. And then we can curve them around so it'll sit nicely at the top, and just check that it's going to fit in there. And from there, we're just going to bend the wire. We're going to help the bend with the round nose pliers. That way it won't get too distorted when we attach it to the top of the skull. So we'll hook it onto the top and then take the ends and wind them around the skull frame. Always best to grab the wire with the pliers so you can give it a good little tug. You can bring it around again if you like. And give it a good little wiggle and a tug. And then we'll have to attach it at the other side. So grabbing the wire, bringing it around, holding it firmly with your thumb and fingers. Just bring the end to the back. Now we're going to clip those little ends flush and give them a little pinch to make sure it holds in place. You can bring in the loops a bit with your precision pliers if they need to be closer together, if you need to adjust the curve of the blue. And now to do the little spiral at the top, little finishing touch, so we'll get a little bit of the orange artistic wire, give it a little bend about 1 inch from one end, and we're going to form our spiral. So we just made a teeny loop, and we're going to hold it with the nylon jaw pliers and bring that wire around into a spiral. You see there's a few different ways to make spirals. This is a fun way to do it, and this way we have a little end, 2 little ends that we're going to attach the spiral to the top of the skull. So just keep going until the spiral is the size that you need. See how it's going to look at the top. We're going to position it in place. Make sure it's centered. It's good to use the 22 gauge for this. You could even go for the 24 if you find it easier to work with. And we're going to wind the wires around to secure it in place. So grab the wire with your pliers, give it a good little tug, flip it around and attach it on the other side, holding the end with the pliers, feeding it through, and bringing the wire around. So it's nicely centered there. Clip the ends with the flush cutters, and then pinch in the little pokey ends. So now we're going to take about 3 inches of the 22 gauge orange artistic wire and do another ziggy-zag with the round nose pliers to make a little more ornamentation at the bottom. So we just went around 3 times and then help that bend with the round nose pliers, and then just position it at the chin. I cut my wire a little long for this one, better too long than too short. So we want to wind the wires around to hold that in place at the bottom. Give it a good little tug. Grab the wire with the pliers so you can hold it more firmly, and bring the wire again. So I just wound it around a couple of times. You could pinch the wires in together a little more, use the nylon jaw pliers so you don't scratch it, and pinch the ends, clip them with the flush cutters, and you can adjust that little flower at the bottom with the round nose pliers. And we're going to do another little zigzag with 22 gauge green artistic wire. The more details, the more rich the piece becomes. So we'll just go back and forth as we did previously to make the little green zigzag. And we're just going to check if it's the right size. We have 5 little loops there, and now we're going to just help the bends with the round pliers. Again, I cut the wire a little long. You can always use your scraps for other things. And then we're going to take that end of the wire and bring it around. You could bring it out 2 or 3 times. Give it a good little wiggle and a tug, and do the same on the other side. Bring it up and around. Go through again. and we want to finish it on the back. Clip the little pokey ends there, just clip them off, pinch them in, do any little adjustments that you need so it's nicely centered at the bottom, and pinch in a bit so it'll hold in place. So all that's left are the little cheeks, little spirals. So I'm using the orange artistic wire for that, and we're going to do a spiral by starting in the middle with the round nose pliers. So we're starting at one end, bringing it around into a little tiny loop, and then help the spiral with the round nose pliers. Just go slowly with it to start that spiral. Just little bends. Just keep bringing it around. Little movements with the round nose pliers. And then you could grab your nylon jaw pliers to finish the spiral. So just squeeze and rotate. Squeeze and rotate until these spirals are the size that you need. Just check to make sure, and then hold it in place. And we want to take the end and we're going to wind it around. So bring it through and around. And again, you can wind the wire in between the winds of the gold wire that we use for the teeth, because if you wind them together, it's going to be more solid, it won't flip, and it'll stay in place. So give that a little clip with the nipper tool, and then pinch it in with the chain nose pliers and adjust it in place. Do another cheek, and there's your finished piece. I'll link up the live stream replay of the Wire Lady TV episode where I made both sugar skulls in the description below this video. You can get the templates in my Etsy DIY shop. Be sure to use the coupon code SAVE25 to save 25% when you purchase 5 or more templates, tutorials, or ebooks in my shop. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making videos. And if you'd like to share photos of your wire art and jewelry, be sure to join the Wire Makers Club on Facebook. And if you'd like to check out my work on Etsy, my husband and I specialize in custom wedding cake toppers and funky jewelry. I also have a mailing list, so if you'd like to sign up below, I'll send you my Wire Art Essentials ebook. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you the next time.